hack is being manipulated from. And it's created something that I call in the book the Moon Matrix. It is broadcasting a alternative reality which is hacking into that information from the sun, and it is changing it. It can't replace it because that's the base reality or construct information of this reality. What it can do is change it so that it affects our reality. And then, as I said earlier, all these different things and themes that have come into my work over the last 20 years, they've all kind of come together in this book, because another theme, and this is not just in my book, but many, many others, and a theme in ancient cultures, accounts, and legends all over the world, is how a genetic intervention, a genetic manipulation by the gods, usually the serpent gods. And what I'm saying in this book is that genetic manipulation was to tune the human body computer into the moon matrix. But because the moon matrix is broadcasting on a frequency that resonates to low vibrational emotion, like all the things we've just talked about, fear, guilt, frustration, anger, hatred, insecurity, fear of not surviving, the human society has to be structured to keep people in that state, because while they are going to be tuned into this moon matrix, and it's going to be the hive mind of humanity. And that's what they've done. They've connected us in to their hive mind via this moon matrix. And this hive mind, therefore, is feeding people who are in the density that allows a powerful connection, a sense of reality, a collective sense of reality, which means that people basically become clones of each other, like computers. You type in the data, i.e. the situation, press enter, and you get a reaction from people in this country or that country or that country or this culture or that culture, which is virtually exactly the same, given the same circumstances, the same reaction, the same emotional reactions. It's because we're connected to a hive mind. And you know, when I was writing this book, I came across some quotes from the books of Carlos Castaneda, which were in the kind of 60s period, in which he's quoting this Central American shaman source called Don Juan Matus. And when I read some of these quotes, I kind of took a deep breath, because I'd not seen them before. And this is one of them from Don Juan. We have a predator that came from the depths of the cosmos and took over the rule of our lives. Human beings are its prisoners. The predator is our lord and master. It has rendered us docile, helpless. If we want to protest, it suppresses our protest. If we want to act independently, it demands that we don't do so. Indeed, we are held prisoner. They took us over because we are food to them, and they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance. Just as we rear chickens in coops, the predators rear us in human coops, humaneros. Therefore, their food is always available to them. Think for a moment and tell me how you would explain the contradiction between the intelligence of man the engineer and the stupidity of his systems of belief, or the stupidity of his contradictory behavior. Sorcerers believe that the predators have given us our systems of belief, our ideas of good and evil, our social mores. They are the ones who set up our dreams of success or failure. They have given us covetousness, greed, and cowardice. It is the predator who makes us complacent, routinary, and egomaniacal. In order to keep us obedient, meek, and weak, the predators engage themselves in a stupendous maneuver. Stupendous, of course, from the point of view of a fighting strategist. A horrendous maneuver from the point of view of those who suffer it. They gave us their mind. The predator's mind is baroque, contradictory, morose, filled with the fear of being discovered any moment now. And he just goes on to say, I know that even now you never have suffered hunger, but you have food anxiety, which is none other than the anxiety of the predator who fears that at any moment now its maneuver is going to be uncovered and food is going to be denied. Through the mind, which, after all, is their mind, the predators inject into the lives of human beings whatever is convenient for them, and they ensure in this manner a degree of security to act as a buffer against their fear. Sorcerers of ancient Mexico reasoned that man must have been a complete being at one point, with stupendous insights, feats of awareness that are mythological legends nowadays. And then everything seems to disappear, and we have a sedated man. What I'm saying is that we have against us not a simple predator. It is a very smart and organized predator. Paraphrasing. It follows a methodical system to render us useless. Man, the magical being that he is destined to be, is no longer magical. He's an average piece of meat. There are no more dreams for man, but the dreams of an animal who is being raised to be a piece of meat, trite, conventional, imbecilic. And as I've put this book together over the last 10 months, although the chunk when I was traveling and talking, but it makes what I've just read makes total synchronistic sense with what I've come across. And that gave us their mind stuff is the moon matrix. And as we become more and more conscious, as opposed to stuck in mind, the five sense body mind, we disconnect vibrationally from the moon matrix. And suddenly we see things that the moon matrix was suppressing us from seeing up to that point. And, I won't go into it all now. It's all in the book in detail. But it's interesting, that when you're born into this world, you kind of accept it for what it is. Well, this is the world. This is how it is. This is why, we are the last generations that the way things are at the moment, who are going to have the ability to see how things were in terms of life and surveillance and control, compared with what they're becoming. Because the young people being born into the world of surveillance and control and microchips and cameras, etc., to them, this is how the world is. This is why they're putting all this stuff into schools now, because they're getting the young generation used to constant surveillance and control. And it's the same with the moon. You look at the moon, yes, there's the moon, it's in the sky, and is it a full moon or is it a new moon or whatever? But you accept it. But when you ask questions about it, suddenly you go, whoa, I never knew that. For instance, there are so many anomalies about the moon. They have no idea how it was created. They have a theory, which is a nonsense theory, and they've had to keep changing it to try to avoid the nonsense, and they just keep in the nonsense. But there is no way in the world, Rebecca, in the normal course of physics and magnetic fields and all that stuff, that the Earth should have a satellite that enormous. It's bigger than Pluto. I was reading, in fact, some scientists don't talk about an Earth-Moon system. They talk about a dual planetary system. And when you see what scientists have said about how it should be in the normal course of events, if the Earth had a satellite at all, and that's far from certain, given its the power of its magnetic field and the size of it and every rest of it, it would be a very, very small satellite. One estimated it would be about 30 miles around. The moon is in excess of 2,000 miles around. And then you say, well, okay, where did it come from? And the scientific theory, which is then printed as fact, because when you see so much scientific fact, you say, okay, well, where does it come from? And it's a theory. First of all, they say a planet about the size of Mars crashed into the Earth eons ago. A big piece of the Earth broke off and became the moon. Well, that's very difficult to follow on when the moon is very unlike the Earth in terms of its content. Mineral content, etc., etc. And rocks on the moon have been found to be fantastically in excess of the age of any rocks found on the Earth. And when this Mars-sized planet hitting the Earth became the moon didn't pan out and work out in terms of the physics, they called it the Big Whack theory. They came up with a double Big Whack theory to try to explain away the anomalies, and that was that the Mars-sized planet hit the Earth and then came back and hit it again. I've given you one. I'll give you the right, and I'm going to give you the left. I mean, all that stuff, and then you find that there are metals on the moon that are not found naturally. That, as one scientist said, there are so many anomalies with regard to the moon that can't be answered, that the only thing you can say about the moon, he said, is it must be observational